Doctor, I have some questions for you about what the overarching political opinions are in Israel as far as what we've seen so far is an 85% disapproval of the Netanyahu coalition government leading up to the war cabinet. Not the war cabinet in itself, but the prior formation of the government. It seems like Netanyahu ran as a security candidate time and time again. Obviously, Likud is far right, and yet his security promise has been an abject failure, partially because of the things that you so perfectly laid out, crushing the Palestinian Authority and not treating the Palestinian Authority as an equal partner, but simply a collaborator or simply just a vestige of an Israeli security apparatus in the West Bank that is crushing Palestinians, and also simultaneously propping up Hamas as the singular force to negotiate with, oftentimes through violent means. It seemingly has been a disastrous failure, as you also pointed out. Is there any appetite for change on the ground, or does it seem like people want more of the exact same type of violent retribution, especially as similar violent conditions time and time again with numerous sieges on Gaza have yielded only a demonstrably worse security outcome for Israelis in general?
First of all, thanks for mentioning something that I forgot, which is indeed very important, that throughout the years, and let's not forget Netanyahu, apart from a very short time last year, has been the prime minister for consecutive 13 years or 14 years. So Netanyahu not only supported the Hamas by, transferring money, real money, cash, millions to Hamas, and as you say, and simultaneously crushing the Palestinian Authority. He actually, in 2019, in a meeting of the Likud's party, he actually explicitly said that everybody who doesn't want or opposes a Palestinian independent state must prefer or prioritize the Hamas over the Palestinian Authority. So he's the one who actually did everything to strengthen Hamas. By the way, many years ago, what was his name there? He was afterwards the ambassador, the American ambassador to Israel, Dan Kretzmel, I don't remember his family name.
What, Kurtzer?
But he warned Israel. Better, that's it, sorry.
Kurtzer, yeah, sorry.
So he actually warned the government of Israel more than 20 years ago, or perhaps even almost 30 years ago. Yeah, I think it was in the beginning of the 90s when Rabin still was prime minister. He warned the government of Israel not to prefer the Hamas over the PLO, and that Israel is going to pay a very high price for that. And they didn't want to listen to him. He was right. We can see it now. So very important, you mentioned it before. But going back to your question, I think that we should refer to three different aspects. First, there is a hardcore of Bibists, that is supporters of Netanyahu, and not Likud people. When I call them Bibists, that's everybody knows that the nickname of Netanyahu is Bibi. So Bibists is a name of a group that worship Netanyahu, not the Likud. They simply worship him. There's a personal worship in that sense. There's nothing to speak with them. They will support whatever Netanyahu does whatsoever. But within the Likud party, those who are not, Bibists, there's a lot of disdain now. I don't believe that Netanyahu is going to survive politically this event. I don't know exactly when and how that's going to happen, but I don't believe that he's going to politically survive it. I believe that's the end of Netanyahu politically. because within the Likud and the parties, the right wing surrounding the Likud, including many voters in the South, they explicitly said since the massacre in the South, said that they feel that Netanyahu's government and Netanyahu himself neglected them for years. So I believe that in that sense, Netanyahu is a dead horse, as it were. That's one thing. Secondly, there are some people who've been against Netanyahu and his government for a few months, those who participated in the massive demonstrations against him and the government. But now some of them joined the government into a so-called emergency government. So they actually legitimize the government and Netanyahu, even if they at the same time they talk and speak against him. So that's another thing that we should pay attention to. I think that at the moment, the main incentive of the government and of the vast majority of the population in Israel, and I said that in pain, I'm sorry about that, is revenge. People are outraged, people are hurt. Those are human, natural feelings. But as I said in my words at the beginning, I think that those should not control us, so take control over our reason. But the government, the vast majority, unfortunately, do follow the guts. And now revenge is the main thing that drives them. So at the moment, I'm not very optimistic. I'm very afraid of more blood that is going to be spilled, as I just indicated before, primarily in Gaza, especially if troops are going to enter. It's going to be a terrible carnage of Palestinians, but of Israeli soldiers as well. And obviously, as I said before, I don't want anyone to be hurt, neither Palestinians nor Israelis. So if they enter Gaza, the troops, that's going to be terrible. At the same time, I imagine that the missiles on Israel are going to go stronger, perhaps, I hope not, perhaps. And it seems that it begins already. Hezbollah from the north is going to join. Perhaps, again, I hope not. Iran is going to join. That may very end, as I said before, the fascist militias that are organized within Israel under the auspices of Israeli police and the minister, Ben Gvir, are going to get a greener light to attack democratic Jews and Palestinian citizens. That's going to be a terrible bloodshed. That's going to lead to rivers of blood. And I'm afraid that we are on the brink of that. If the international community, and especially the United States, not because I like it or not, because they have the power, if they are not going to stop it now, and unfortunately, following what President Biden said today, it seems he's not interested in doing that. I'm afraid that everybody is going to drown in rivers of blood. And of course, I'm saying that not in order to pose, a threat, of course not, but not even, kind of desperate. No, I'm saying that because I want it to be prevented. I want to save lives. I'm saying that because I care about the lives of my compatriots in Israel and of Palestinians. That's the reason I'm saying that. Not security drives the Israeli government now, neither the Israeli public as it most, but revenge. Everybody knows that security is not going to be delivered by war and violence. Exactly the opposite. Mahatma Gandhi said that eye for an eye turns everybody blind. And the metaphor is clear. I don't have to, explain it further. And the only way to stop the bloodshed and to stop it for good is a political, peaceful solution, not a military and not a violent one. And the only solution, real and viable solution, is the ending the occupation and establishing of Palestinian independent state in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem alongside Israel. That's the only way to stop the bloodshed. And I hope that that will be reached very soon. Otherwise, the death toll is going to be immense. And by the way, it's not only a call for justice, it's also a reference to the interests of the world. Because if the war is going to spread to other parts in the region, and apparently that's what's going to happen if it continues. Or again, I hope not, but I'm afraid of that. Eventually, it's going to spread to the whole world. We are on the brink of a third world war, and it's in the hands of the international community to prevent it, and they should.